Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Why We Love Horror. I'm John Marr, and those are the Brookses, Abby and Aaron. And we're here this week for a highly anticipated movie. But how are you guys feeling?
I think we're feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we're very excited. This is our number one most
Yeah.
anticipated horror movie of the year. When we compiled together our lists, I think it was in each of our top threes at least individually. It's a follow up to Long Legs by Osgood Perkins with The Monkey.
And we saw it in advance because it's not really even out until this weekend. So we're giving you guys the scoop. There will be spoilers though. So if you don't want to spoil, go watch it and come back. But I'll let you guys start with synopses, initial thoughts.
Yeah, so I was very excited going into this movie. I did watch the trailer, at least the first one. Maybe I saw the second one, but I didn't remember any of the second one. But I saw the trailer for the first trailer, and was very excited going into this movie. I've pretty much liked everything from Osgood Perkins I've seen. I haven't seen his first thing, but I've seen the Hansel and Gretel movie, which I liked more than most people, Blackcoat's Daughter, which I like more than most people, and then Long Legs, which I liked as much as most people. So, Osgood Perkins is doing pretty well for me, and I was excited. I started to get a little bit of wind about it being a little more of a black comedy moving up to it, which totally works for me, and I'm a huge Stephen King adaptation fan of pretty much all but three of them. So I was ready for
three. Only three. That's great.
Yeah.
Abby, what do you think?
Yeah, so I also was very excited for this. It is, and it looked like, even just from the trailers, you can tell that this is going to be very different from Long Legs or really any of his other movies. Because even the Blackcoat's Daughter and the Hansel and Gretel, those are the only other two I've seen. They're very dark and have a very similar vibe to them. Whereas this one is dark, but it's also very funny too. And it's a little bit more lighthearted and upbeat, which I liked how it was different from all of those other movies. It was cool to see something new from this director. And I think ultimately it worked out. The trailers pretty much give most of the synopsis. There's a toy monkey that is cursed, and it seems like it's kind of been passed through a generation of a family, and it seems like wherever it goes, death kind of follows it. And that's kind of a very general synopsis of this. And again, I think the tone really works for this movie. I ultimately, the bottom line is I did enjoy this.
Yeah, I would say I enjoy it too. I think the big plus of this movie is the kills are great, and the cameos are great. I would say just seeing Adam Scott show up at the beginning and Elijah Wood showing up in the first act are probably the best performances in the movie, which is weird because that's probably my only real nitpick about the movie is they immediately put Theo James in over his head. That's pretty much my only nitpick about the movie. I think he was just way over his head in this movie. What do you guys think?
I think I kind of agree with that. I probably liked him a little bit more. I thought he was definitely better than some of the other things that I've seen him in. I don't know what else he's been in besides the Divergent movies, which I did watch because I was into those when I was in high school. And he, to me, he never really stood out in those movies. And in this is a very, very different role. And I thought he did fine, but I could see how people would say he'd be a weaker link against some of those other bigger names.
I don't know if it's really a spoiler, but I'll throw up spoilers. He's in a dual role in this movie. He plays twin brothers who are like, they are on paper vastly different, but I just don't think he plays them vastly different. He just delivers the lines slightly different as the, I guess, the insane brother, the dickhead brother who becomes insane. There's a dickhead brother who becomes insane and a weakling brother who remains a weakling.
Yeah, I think that we get kind of lucky that most of the movie doesn't have Theo James in it, because like he doesn't have that leading man ability quite in this movie, and he's got a weird like regionless accent. He's not from anywhere with his accent because he's, not from here. So this is his American accent, which is all of them kind of bunched together. And like he's good enough, but like he's not good enough for two roles for sure. I think that's why they kind of just feel like slightly different shades of each other. I think as the kids, they were really good though. Honestly,
the kids were good. The kids
were like excellent kid actors for being in the movie as much as they are. So like, I feel like they capture like that sibling rivalry really perfectly, where you imagine killing your brother, smashing him in the face. Like they catch it literally in this movie, obviously with the, one of the early kind of scenes that kind of lets you know what you're in for. But yeah, I mean, this movie is funny, and it's a very different humor than Hard Eyes Last Week, for sure. Hard Eyes Last Week is like over the top slapstick, nearly self-referential. This is like one of the driest horror comedies I've ever seen. Like it is like giving Jim Jarmusch a run for his money with the dryness. That's just what Osgood Perkins finds funny, I think. And I found it funny. Like I was laughing quite a bit in the theater. If you're not, I think at some points you're going to kind of maybe get annoyed with some parts of the movie that are meant to be comedic, but not annoying. And just like, I thought it was like a true black horror comedy, which I can't really remember seeing, recently done. So
yeah,
that was really good to see.
Not in a wide release, at least. I would say my other nitpick, and like these are not damaging my rating of the movie too much. It's like it starts off so strong. The comedy is like I remember like we were all laughing pretty hard all the way through the funeral because the dude that plays the priest is like aces.
Yeah, great.
Like all the way through that, and I think Osgood Perkins made a decision like we can't keep this level of comedy up. We've got to have like a break in it, and then the break just goes on for way too long before it starts getting funny again. But if they had kept up that tone, like that Naked Gun tone throughout the entire movie, I don't know how I would have felt at the end of it, but I think I might have liked it more if it maintained
stuck to the bit. So
yeah, it doesn't stick to the bit. There's a lot of like just hemming and hawing as Hal, the weakling brother, is trying to track down Bill, the dickhead brother. And I will say the acting of the young dickhead Bill is out of this world. Like that kid nails it. Like what a dickhead.
Yeah, very accurate.
But yeah, the middle of the road trip kind of middle of the movie where him and his son Petey are like just trying to track down where Bill is it drags.
Yeah, that part definitely felt very aimless. And yeah, you're right. The comedy definitely like takes a dip at that point. But I think it does kind of pick up a little bit at the end. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the end that is probably what bothered me the most in this movie. Again, the middle definitely. And then I think, going back to the performances, I think in that last half of the movie, you get a lot more of the other Theo James brother. And again, I don't have that much of an issue with his performance in the movie, but it was a little like it didn't fully work. That character, I liked the more timid character of his a little bit more. And then there's just a lot of resolution that I don't think it worked that well.
Yeah, we can kind of get into like the actual plot. Go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, no, I mostly agree. I also just mostly wanted to point out that I feel Petey, the son, looked a lot like a monkey, the monkey, and that had to be intentional. So a little bit of my thoughts with Osgood Perkins as a comedic horror director. If we're going to talk about comedic horror directors who stick to the bit and don't reveal their hand, I'm going to bring up my boy M. Night, because he had a lot of practice, I think, to get to where he's at. this is Osgood Perkins' first crack at it. I'd like to see him do more horror comedy just to smooth out some of the comedic pacing issues with this movie, which lead to actual, I think, pacing issues with this movie, because it's like 97, 98 minutes long. It shouldn't have felt as long as it did, to be honest, for what it was. And the reasons I think it does is that I feel like the road trip aspect didn't kind of pick up and work as well as we wanted to. That PD kid didn't have a lot to offer for me. And then you put him with Theo James, it was kind of just like cardboard bouncing off of styrofoam a little bit, where it's just like there's nothing to absorb there. And that's where it's like, that's where like when the comedy comes back in, it feels like a breath of fresh air. And there's like a great bit at the pool when the woman who's like diving into the pool, and this whole movie does have a Final Destination aspect to it. Soul Survivor, which came out before Final Destination. It was Final Destination before Final Destination. And there's something before Soul Survivor, I'm sure, as well. But check out Soul Survivor if you haven't. Great Canadian horror from the 80s. With this movie, when she's diving into the pool and it's like been electrified and basically just like liquefies her as she's getting exploded. And, Hal's just like he gets hit with a leg and he goes, "Oh my God, was that a leg?" Like, and just like, it was just like very,
that was a good scene.
Yeah. Like that. It's just like, and there's a couple points where there's like an explosion or liquefied that like an ear hits him at one of them. So it's like that Naked Gun quality of the movie that they just chose not to keep. And just when I'm getting my other nitpick out of the way here, because yes, this movie's about the plot, but I think this is kind of when the plot gets out of the way and just vibes a little bit better of a movie. So if I'm being honest, is that a lot of things felt like they were kind of cut away. Like we never got more with Adam Scott and the father character. I kind of want to know what happened on that boat. Like where he's bleeding like that. Like that entire like time period was kind of just left on the cutting room floor for us to have like that 1991 time period for most of the movie. Which with that, I wish there would have been a little more commitment to kind of getting in the time capsule 91 besides just the burger phone and the comforter that every kid in 1991 had with like the shapes and the galaxies on it. Like my brother had that exact comforter and that phone. But other than that, I felt like that was left a little bit more bare than I would have preferred. It was more just kind of touched on briefly.
Yeah, when you start the movie with like Adam Scott, like giving that like over the top flamethrower wielding like maniac performance, and then like it even dips from there to like the first act. Yeah. The first act is serviceable because you get like the Benihana kill and the and the mom's face, the mom having a very gruesome aneurysm.
Yeah,
and,
like
all kinds
of monologue just about life and the randomness of it. Like there's some really good, just like dry humor in the beginning for sure that tapers.
Yeah, then the whole middle with Elijah Wood, and then the ending scene where they're the Bill's in the booby trap telephone factory, and you kind of get to see like bits and pieces of how like basically Bill is just massacring the townspeople because he's trying to kill his brother. So he's just turning the key mercilessly, killing like everyone. And the town is just like, man, people just keep dying in the most gruesome ways, man. And like everyone's just low key. And the realtor is totally like cool with it. That she opens the closet, her head gets blown off with a shotgun. Like really good, but like I wouldn't have minded like that energy just averaged out.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the other things that bothered me, I mean, we keep saying about things that bother us. Like, I think we all did like the movie, but the other thing that bothered me, and I don't know if it goes more into it in like the Stephen King story, but there's a character played by, it's the guy from Halloween Ends.
Yeah, Rowan Campbell. The story does not go. The story is like 8 pages long. It was in a magazine. It's not, not all this stuff was for the movie.
I was gonna say I didn't quite understand the purpose of his character. He basically like his whole thing is he shows up at an estate sale and finds the monkey and he gets it for a short amount of time, but then wants it back after he loses it or something like that. and I didn't quite understand his whole reasoning for wanting the monkey back, because I don't remember it doing. I don't know. Maybe I missed some of that.
Like, we learned that Bill had put out like ads in the paper, like, I'll pay you to find the monkey for me. I know it's around here somewhere. And then his character, which is, his name is where are we looking here? Ricky, finds it. And I guess he realizes what he gave away. I don't know if he was planning to like extort him or just steal it back or whatever. But then his death is great because he basically like 10,000 wasps fly into his mouth, which is a horrible way to die.
Yeah.
No, that death was great. Yeah. I just didn't particularly understand the purpose of that character in this movie. Like I really didn't. I
guess you could have done without it. Yeah. And then everything kind of like wraps up pretty seamlessly. Basically, I believe PD Bill forces PD to turn the key, and then Bill winds up getting his head blown off with his mother's bowling ball, which is fantastic.
Yes.
And then that's it. Then they just become the procurers of the monkey, and then they just don't touch the monkey anymore.
Don't touch your monkey, kids.
Yeah, that's the moral of the story. Don't abuse your monkey. I'll go first. Why the hell not? Like I said, there's a lot of strong parts in this movie, and then they're tempered by some stuff I just didn't like. But like the kills are awesome, the cameos are awesome. I'm at a 3.5. It's like, it's better than good. It's not like great. It's not going to make my top 10, but I would watch this. I would definitely watch the parts I liked are a 5-star movie. Just happens to be some stuff I didn't like mixed in with it. Aaron?
Yeah, I'll say my joke again. You twist it more than twice. You're playing with it as with regards to your monkey. And for this movie, it's tough when you're going in with it being one of your top of the year. But so I will say in that context, I was a little disappointed by the follow-up here by Osgood. And I think that's why maybe some people are spending a little more of their time discussing what they didn't like as much in some ways. I still thought this was a good time. It's my second favorite horror comedy of the year. Hard Eyes has my heart as of now, overall and for horror comedy. So I'm giving it 4 videotapes here. And I'm overall, I've seen bad Stephen King adaptations, and this is nowhere near that. So like, I feel like this is right in the, middle to the bottom of my top 10 for Stephen King adaptations, which is a lot of movies I really, really like. And I could see it going up on a rewatch, which I will rewatch at some point. So I enjoyed Dolby and everything as well. Good job, Oscar.
Abby, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all pretty much on the same page about this. I mean, it's definitely not gonna be the best movie of the year like I was hoping. I thought the trailer for this movie was awesome, and like after I saw that, that's kind of why it skyrocketed to the top of my list. But it's still really good. Again, you go for some really weird and intense kills. I think it's a very unique movie that you can definitely have fun with. And one of my favorite cameos in this movie, I forgot to mention, was Osgood Perkins himself. He plays this like weird swinger uncle who like just dies really kind of hilariously and weirdly. I thought that was a really good moment too.
What was your rating?
Oh, it was a 4. All
right, there we go. Like we do every week, we're going to talk about our picks, and this week for the Why We Love Horror Challenge. So let's see what that's about. If you want to play along, you can go to that website right there, and I don't have to spell it out like I did last year because Letterboxd was kind to us this year. We ended on Abby, so we'll start with Abby. This week, it's watch a movie from the 50s. Horror movie, of course. What'd you watch?
Well, I didn't. I forgot. I'll be honest. I forgot to watch my movie this week. But I was going to watch. I think my pick was going to be The Creature from the Black Lagoon. That's another one of those monster movies that I have not seen that I'd like to. So I think that will be my pick.
Everyone, follow up with Abby on Letterboxd to see what she thought of The Creature from the Black Lagoon when she gets it. Aaron, what'd you watch?
I watched The Fly, which somehow I had yet to watch. Being a huge Vincent Price fan. And a fan of now I can say the remake I like a lot more. I hate to say that, but the 50s version honestly has a lot more tension than I'm used to in like 40s and 50s horror movies. Like felt a lot more modern, the story being told, which with aside to a few reveals at points when like his claw hand comes out of his trench coat pocket and it's like just like a rubber inflatable like hand. It was a little, she was like, but it was really, really good. Honestly, there just were some lulls in between where we're heading with the story that kind of were a little bit slow even for me. But Vincent Price is great in this. He doesn't turn into the Fly. It's the other actor who turns into the Fly. And you know where it's heading, and it's still that ending must have blown people's minds in 1950, whatever. So, yeah, good movie.
Yeah, speaking of the 50s, speaking of Vincent Price, I watched House on Haunted Hill, which I had not seen.
Yep.
And 75 minutes. It's a quick movie. It's like your favorite Scooby-Doo episode all wrapped up into 75 minutes. And Vincent Price is there. So like is it one of my favorite movies ever? No. But is it a good time? Yeah. And I don't think you can go wrong watching House on Haunted Hill. Just do it if you haven't. It's fine.
Yeah, it's solid.
Totally a great time. Do it.
Yeah.
That being said, that'll do it for this week on Why We Love Horror. Next week, we're doing something special. Next week, we're going to be live here next Thursday, and we're all bringing to the table just 3 movies from 2024 that you might not have heard about. So we'll be doing that live. If you have movies you want to talk about from 2024, we'll put out the StreamYard link. Select few people come on with us and talk about movies that you think we should have watched. And chances are we probably watched them, but feel free to try to stump us with movies from 2024 you think we should have watched. So more details of that on the Facebook page. But anyway, if you made it this far in the video, like, comment, subscribe, share, go to that Facebook page where all that information will be. Join us there. Go back to the Letterboxd. Join us there on the Why We Love Horror Challenge on Letterboxd. We'd love to hear from you and see what you're doing. And the schedule here is usually the same. Sunday is usually Why We Love Horror TV. We're gonna have to pivot away. Dexter Original Sin is done, so maybe we'll figure out something else. If we don't, whatever, we'll figure out something else. Something will happen. Monday's versus Thursday is This You're Watching It. Next week, remember, we're live talking about hidden gems of 2024. And Friday, we're back to double headers of Why We Love Horror Trivia. So come on down, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Watch your Why We Love Horror Trivia. Until next time, I'm JWMaher, and that's Abby Brooks and Aaron Brooks. And we'll see you next week on Why We Love Horror.